Alright guys, today I'm going to show you how to print TPU or another flexible filament on a Ender 3 with a bowden tube. As you can see here, it's got a bowden tube, so it's not recommended. But we're just going to go ahead and turn the printer on. And as you can see here, I got a nice little fan here, just proof that this is TPU, and it specifically says compatible with most direct drive extrusion. This is not direct drive. The drive is here, and it's obviously not direct to this. So here we have the bowden tube, which is on a little bit less expensive 3D printers, or ones that are more like they don't take as much care, and that would be for this. This isn't much less expensive, but it isn't the most expensive either, and it's also easier to deal with bowden tubing sometimes, and that's why we have mostly PLA around here. So what you need to do is just turn the fan on, and that's it. So the reason why people have trouble printing this with a bowden tube is because the heat from the bed. See, a lot of people say, oh, when you're printing with the bowden tube, you can't heat the bed. And I've had bad luck not heating the bed with TPU. I know it's possible, but I've had it unstick before. So I just don't want to deal with any of that. So what I do, I'm just going to go ahead and go here. And since the Ender 3, when you go to prepare, obviously, it's only going to have preheat ABS and preheat PLA. What you do is you just go to main, and then you go to control, temperature, and then you go to nozzle, and we're going to turn that thing up a little bit higher than PLA, around, just give it a second, around, normally you have it at 200 to 205, we're going to turn it all the way up to 128, which is just perfect for the temperature. Then for the bed, we're going to heat her up to 60 degrees. Alright, now while that's heating up, you can, in fact, have this fan go. Make sure when you do your slicing on Creality, or on Cura, Creality, or... Okay, so you can either do your slicing on Cura, Ultimaker, Creality, or a couple other different slicers. Make sure you have it only printing around 20 millimeters per second to 30, and you can speed it up from 100%. I recommend 20 millimeters or a second, and then during the print, after you get that first layer down, you can always speed this thing up. You know, you can speed it way up. It's not recommended, but it'll speed it up to around 50, just speed it up around 50% to 100% higher, so then you can get at least 40 to 30 to 40 millimeters faster, and TPU prints fine like that. We're getting up there on the temperature, so we'll be back after this snap. Alright, we're back, and we've got our printer heated up to the correct temperatures, so we're going to go ahead and go to print from TF, and I've got a bunch of random files on here, but we're just going to go ahead and print some Lego tires. Now, alright, so now I'm going to actually, since I have it set pretty high, around 30 for TPU at least, I'm going to set it down to 70% speed if you have it already pre-programmed with just 30 millimeters a second. Also, when you're threading TPU through, make sure to be careful. Anyways, as you can't feel it obviously, but this bowden tube is staying nice and cool thanks to the fan right here. Make sure you have your fan on max, and an enclosure would even be better. And I'd also recommend, especially with the bowden tube, baby stepping the Z down about one click down, because it'll end up printing so low to the bed you'll get stuff like this, but it'll give it a little bit of a thin layer, and since it's a flexible filament, that's fine. So we'll just let it do its thing. So now it's printing, and you won't see really too much of the first layer. It'll be pretty, as you can see here. You're not going to get a lot of that first layer on there, and normally this would be too close to the bed, but with TPU, especially with a bowden tube, to help get it to stick better and make sure it continues to pull out that filament, that's what you're going to want to do. As you can see here, this is the stock plastic sides on the extruder, and these are obviously metal. Now I am going to upgrade this to metal. We've got a brand, I'd recommend also before printing this to changing out to a brand new a nozzle, which is really simple. You just take a fitting bit. In fact, with this, since there's special bars on the heat sink and heater block, you don't have to worry about any twisting and breaking it. So you can just pop it in there, one that fits around there, and gently unscrew it, take it out, pop the new one in, and make sure your nozzle is heated to around 200 degrees when you do that. Because if you, because when I first started printing TPU, it started clogging up. So I did the fan thing, and that helped for a while. But then I realized it's probably because there was still a little bit of PLA left in there. So I went ahead and changed that nozzle out, and sure enough, it's working perfectly. So if I wanted to run PLA through here again, I kept that. I threw that old nozzle away, but I'm keeping another nozzle standing by that I can change out as long as they're not clogged for PLA and TPU. Considering that this does not have any problems, you just there's special connections between the heater block, the heat sink, and the actual extruder. You can take off the silicone sock and just unscrew it right there. You don't have to even take off the housing like a lot of people do, because it'll put some more stress on it, but since it's got it's not directly connected and it's got special bars, it's completely fine to do. As you can see now, you're starting to get a little bit more printing when it moves. You'll see that it's gone up about a layer, and that really close to the bed layer is gonna help it stick really well. And that's just what you want to do. On the first few layers, you're going to notice when you select TPU, especially on Cura, which is what I've used, it's not going to have your fan running. So just note that. And it's still not really, you're going to see a little bit coming out. We're still waiting for it, but just give it about 20 minutes. If it's still not coming out, you've got a clog. But this is how I always print it, so that's what I would recommend. And so also with TPU, it does not emit super harmful fumes, but with TPU with all the strings, you're going to want to put a fan cover on here, because those strings will get in there into your fan, because it's more of a stringy type filament. As you can see, this stuff is squishy. I don't have a better example with me, but it's very squishy stuff. And so you're going to want to put in a PLA fan cover. I cut these off because I couldn't find the Allen wrench, and I just super glued this on. So anyways, that's how you're going to run your TPU on a Bowden tube on the Ender 3 or another Bowden tube type printer. So I hope you guys found this helpful, and be sure to like and subscribe.